Jason. It's good to see you. Today I want to talk about successful conversations. So let me write that on the board. Successful conversations. So, let's talk first about what a conversation is. What's a conversation? Conversation. When you hear the word conversation, what do you normally think about? Anyone? Okay, a conversation, simply put, a conversation is exchange of verbal information. Okay, so verbal means words, right? So you're just talking to the other person, that's all you're doing. But this is a little difficult to understand. So simply put, how could you say this in other words? Okay, in other words, you could say getting to know the other person that you're talking to. Getting to know the other person's perhaps thoughts or opinions, or perhaps also emotions. So you're basically getting to know the other person. This is what a conversation is. So what about a successful conversation? How can a conversation be successful? Or in other words, what can you do to make a conversation successful? Any ideas? I have some ideas, but I'd like to know your ideas. Anyone? Okay, first off, it's just my opinion, but the most important thing in a successful conversation is listen carefully. So normally when a person when they hear the word conversation, they think, oh, conversation is speaking. So I should speak well. I should focus on my speaking. Of course, speaking is important, but in my opinion, listening carefully is even more important. And I'll explain why in just a second. The second most important is asking questions. Now, first let's look at these two. A conversation is about speaking, but if you do not listen to the other person, then you don't know what that person is talking about, and thus the conversation will die. But if you listen carefully to the other person, then you'll be able to ask more questions. If you ask questions, the other person will have something to say to you. Thus, by repeating these two, the conversation keeps moving. So, these are the most important things in a conversation. The third is maybe speaking. But just speaking, if you speak how should I put this? If you speak in a difficult way that the person cannot understand, then this conversation is not successful. It's just, maybe it could be an interview or a lecture. It's not a conversation, right? So you should speak simply. Always speak simply so the other person can understand. So you always speak simply and listen carefully, ask questions. These three are the most important things that make a successful conversation. Some other things. These are some other tips. Other than these, you can always address people by name. Now, if you keep calling the person you, what about you, what about you? maybe the other person will think that this is a little rude. So, but if you call their name, for example, hey John, what do you think? Oh John, that's really interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that, John. Right. By saying the other person's name, the other person will think, oh, he knows my name. Oh, maybe this is a really friendly guy. I think I want to talk more to this person. Right, so if you address people by name, they will want to talk more. Right? Okay. Another one is smile and nod a lot. Smile and nod. Smiling, nodding. These are just reactions, right? If you're talking to a person and you're just expressionless, you're just yeah, yes, no, then it's really boring. The other person will not want to talk to you. But if you're always smiling, you're like, oh yes, yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes. By giving them the reaction that they want, the person will want to talk to you more, and thus the conversation has a more chance of becoming successful. Last one. This is also very important. Maintain eye contact. So, when you talk to a person, you should always look at them in the eye. If you look away from the person, then the person might think you're being rude, or the person might think, oh, maybe this person doesn't want to talk to me. But by maintaining eye contact and smiling and nodding, it shows that you're friendly and you are willing to listen to that person, and the person will be willing to ask you questions. The person will be willing to address you by name. So these things right here, it helps you have a friendly attitude when you're having a conversation. And if you have a friendly attitude, conversation will always be successful.